Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, I think we're due for an update on Luna and Terra, but not an update that you've seen for the last couple of days. No. Today we have to look at some of the things which have been hidden from us. There are so many connections that we can put together, and I think it's extremely interesting, specifically with one of the most recent events which brought some very big controversy in the crypto space, as the FTX CEO just bought a very big share into Robinhood. Things are coming together. And in this video, you start to see why things don't completely line up, why a couple of things were very easy to predict, yet a couple of other things don't make sense at all, which all kind of comes back to the beginning point of manipulation. Again, enjoy the show. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you press the like button. Right now, currently, the crypto market is doing pretty well, up about 1% over the last 24 hours. The first time that we're not crashing in a little while. And to be honest, the entire day, the cryptos were looking pretty damn juicy. All right. Having said that, we're also doing a 2,500 XRP giveaway. A link for that is down below. There's a whole overview of how you can enter. However, if you don't want to go through any other steps, make sure you press the like button or subscribe and comment something down below. You're automatically entered that way as well. All right, so this is going absolutely trending over on Reddit. It's got 10,000 likes in the last day. And wow, FTX bails out Robinhood, buys a 7.6% share. FTX connected to Citadel. It's all tied together. Need more eyes digging on this. He also says, refer to my older last post regarding all this stuff between FTX and Citadel. The Citadel logo plus FTX logo fit together like two. FTX US hired the former Citadel Securities executive to massively scale its crypto exchange a little year ago. Quote, the exchange was founded by Sam Bankman-Fried, a former trader on Jane Street Capital's international ETF desk, and a former Google engineer, Gary Wang. Brett Harrison, the former head of semi-systematic technology at Citadel Securities, acts as the president, while the COO of the exchange is Sina Nader, who was previously heading the crypto business at Robinhood. People obviously are putting in the logos regarding Citadel and FTX, but this is not a small connection dotting whatever, right? You can actually spend an entire 25 minutes just reading through every single piece of evidence that he's put up and how these things all coincide. It's pretty damn crazy, guys, and it honestly is pretty damn scary the more you look into it. It's got 10,000 likes because a lot of people are out here thinking, oh my days, wow. Now, obviously, it's not confirmed in any way, shape, or form, but again, this video's point is to show out and point out a couple of interesting parts in all of this that really don't make a lot of sense, or when you look at it, you go like, Just a quick little rundown again. There are tons of connections between both these companies. Now we have Citadel and BlackRock denying the rumor of the ending of UST/Terra/Luna. The same week, FTX is now buying into Robinhood, which again connects everything. BlackRock invested in USDC and would directly benefit them for Luna to fail. FTX has a lot of ex-Citadel employees and connections alongside with founders, plus the board being tied together. Sure, there's a lot more to dive into here. Yes, guys, it's actually, that part is confirmed, by the way. BlackRock, Fidelity, and others to invest $400 million in Circle, the company behind the USDC stablecoin issuer, a little while ago, and right now they put over on Twitter that they did not trade UST, but obviously they wouldn't say even if they did. USDT, funny enough, is not necessarily invested in by any of these companies, at least not as far as I know, but it's funny that all of a sudden, the last couple of days, they've let go of a really negative attitude towards algorithmic stablecoins. And you can see over on the interwebs, the most popular results right now are, when you type it in as well, are showcasing literally what one of the co-founders of Tether and the exchange said, algorithmic stablecoins, what they are and how they can go terribly wrong. But it was basically a rant as to why they are bad. If you go over to my Twitter and go through my liked points, I guess, or everything that I've liked, you also find a couple of other things. First of all, that a little while ago, people start to notice that there's some rants against Luna. And this was basically over on Twitter, some targeted attacks, where a lot of accounts would post the exact same FUD message regarding Terra, Luna. It's also funny enough that that was happening exactly the day before some new regulations regarding stablecoins and CBDC were to basically be discussed. It's funny, right? The 10th and 12th of May, the discussions were going to be, and this all happened the 9th of May. Right now, US SEC Pierce says stricter rules around crypto stablecoins could be drawing closer. And from the other side, Janet Yellen said that there's not really a threat from stablecoins just quite yet, but the coincidence is very much there. All right, and then regarding the crash, because I mean, they basically, in my opinion already as well, they called for this to kind of come back down. But even if we kind of disregard that, right, there was another very heavy sign. If you guys all remember, a couple of weeks ago, Jim Cramer went on a little show, and here is what he said. Hopefully, I can play it out loud for you guys.
Now, this just is like, we're talking money, so it's okay to say, hey, listen, made money. But I think Ethereum is terrific. I'm a believer, and I think that you could easily get 35, 40%. Now,
again, the reason I'm showing you guys this is because when this came out, I told you guys, all right, this is a top sign if I've ever seen one. Why? Whenever he talks about Ethereum looking good or anything looking good, usually this is to mass amounts of people. And very often people who watch the stock draft here on CNBC, they're looking at that because they want to trade, they want his advice, sort of, right? So what happens is, if he says things are looking really good, it can go up 30 to 40%. People are like, wow, eyes wide open, let's buy massively. And so usually that's a top sign for all of us because we know most likely some bigger institutions want some exit liquidity. They pushed for this company basically to make a video about it, because it can drastically help. Not sure how many viewers this has, but he's been wrong so ridiculously many times, mostly on these very heavy scales as well, that I usually do the exact opposite of what he says, specifically when it comes to things that I would like to say that I understand at least for a little bit. In the same sense, we've had, of course, the US inflation coming together with it. There's actually one more point, which is the realized losses, which basically means that people right now are accepting the fact that they've lost money and they're just cashing out, even though they are at a loss. That's, of course, like making the whole situation a little bit more multiplied. However, if we look at inflation, we know the actual number most likely is 12 to 16%, something like that. However, the number that they showcased was 8.3, which is 2 base points lower. It was 8.5 before. 2 points lower basically than what we had last month, which is actually a really positive thing. But I already was telling you guys in my own video, there's a very high chance the price is going to fall first before it's most likely going to spike really hard. Looking at the chart, that's pretty much what happened. Again, I don't want to take credit for nailing the exact date because I actually expected the price to pump yesterday somewhere already. It took a day extra. But basically what happened was these numbers came out, the market started to go down further, and nobody really knows exactly why that happened because the results were rather positive, and everybody that I know basically took it in as a positive thing as well. But the market kept going down, down, down. And right now, the S&P and everything turned back positive, and Bitcoin couldn't continue to stay negative. No, it had to pump back up. Then again, realize that it is fear stacked on top of fear. So when Bitcoin was starting to fall down, we were rooting for 27,000 or so to be a bottom. It fell to 25.3. Now, why is that? Very much so having to do with that realized loss that I just described. When people start to notice things are going down, they get scared that things are going to go down further. Here you can see, for example, Real Kiyosaki saying, Bitcoin crashing, great news. As stated in previous tweets, I am waiting for Bitcoin to crash to 20,000. We'll then wait for test of Bitcoin, which might be 17,000. Once I know bottom is in, I'd back up the truck. Crash is our best time to get rich, take care. Which is true. However, it's a hard thing to really gulp up and whatnot. Mostly because of the Luna situation. For all you guys that do not know, the Luna situation is obviously what made the entire video come up here. Luna has completely gone mental in terms of supply. And there's a couple of reasons as to why this is the case. One part is the fact that you can actually, I'm not sure if it's still possible right now, but when the network was live, which was halted a couple of times in the midst, it's now live again, you can actually exchange $1 worth of UST for $1 worth of Luna. And since a lot of people were doing that, it basically just kept increasing Luna supply, which is all basically burned before. Now, Binance let go of a pretty big warning regarding Luna, which ultimately really did not do good for the price. However, now they've said, was in a no-phone meeting for 2 hours. At least there is progress. Luna blockchain resumed, no more minting, and deposits, withdrawals, and trading resumed. Trading is important for existing holders. Please do not buy a coin just because trading is on. Do your own research, extreme caution. He's basically giving us a little warning, and I'm not sure how to take this, right? CZ could be kind of out of the loop, just giving people honest advice and honest opinions, because whenever I think of CZ, I'm thinking this man is so extremely wealthy, he doesn't need to really manipulate things as much anymore, because he's already got the entire world in his hands. Then again, that's just an assumption, right? It's just purely an assumption based upon nothing but thin air. If you look back a little bit further, though, right now there's coming a lot of these critics, specifically people on Twitter, right, who's saying, oh, I didn't get into Luna, I didn't get into UST, it was all such an obvious scam. Yes, but no. So the reason I'm saying yes, but no is because right now, in hindsight, people can look at it and think, Luna was mostly just there to support the UST idea. And so since it really didn't do much of an ecosystem itself, well, then that should have made it worthless. Then again, it's not necessarily how it works, it's how it should have worked. Even David Schwartz is coming in and kind of stating that it was a really bad idea to begin with in the way in which they built it. They've just built it wrong. But where were a lot of these critics at the start? Even Binance, for example, is a little bit hypocritical with the way in which they're writing things. Then again, Binance is now saying mostly, just fix things, right? You messed up, okay, fine. But fix things and talk to us on how to fix it if you can't do it yourself. There was a couple of proposals and a couple of ideas. This came out 8 hours ago. The community is deciding on a new TERRA money between restoring a snapshot prior to attack, which would be crazy, removing TFL, fully collateralizing UST, which I think is the best option, and drafting and deliberating new mechanisms for Luna. We must salvage the remaining value in the ecosystem and community and rebuild the right way. This is all, however, if you guys remember, because the way I personally have perceived it, right? There was one big party who decided to dump a crazy amount of UST at one specific point a couple days ago. Now, either they knew that Do Kwon, for example, from Luna, had lost its mind and he basically took on too much on his hay fork and people felt the collapse coming and they sold it all because they knew, or they were the cause of it, which caused a little downward spiral to happen. If you look back, though, it's not as if Luna was necessarily set up wrong from the get-go. A lot of big players in the industry, even Coinbase, actually did invest in Luna / TERRA. And from that perspective, Arrington Capital invested, Galaxy Digital invested, Pantera Capital invested. It's not as if this is not properly backed or that they don't have any options. And you can also not say that it was just Luna was like the underdog, which one other company was just trying to quickly squash because it was simple. No, this is a multi-billion-dollar institution, a very big company as well. And so basically the companies are having a fierce battle in the sense that TERRA was built for greatness from the start. If you guys get my drift, it's not as if they meant to make UST one of the underlying stablecoins or whatever. No, they meant for this algorithmic stablecoin to overtake USDT, overtake USDC. And potentially, when these big institutions felt that pressure, they decided to do something against it, specifically a couple of days before some important decisions regarding stablecoins and whatnot, because they felt it was right. Then again, you might also start to think about the fact that they played into the bigger stock market crashing, the bigger inflation numbers coming out, because a lot of the things don't make sense either. Again, I've covered this in depth, I think, already, right, before in my previous videos, but the more you start to read into all these theories, which, please, don't spend too much time on that because I'm not sure what it's going to get you. The more you start reading into these theories, it starts to get crazier and crazier and crazier. It goes a little bit further though, guys. Again, the more you read into it, the more crazy it gets. You can read a lot of these numbers. You guys will remember, right? Over on UST, you could get a 20% APY, which is pretty damn fun to see. If you look down below here, though, you can see how to buy GameStop tokenized stock, right? That's a really scary thing. Obviously, GameStop, the whole scenario you can read above for it a little bit. However, here's, for example, one video. A CEO of FTX discussing crypto yield farming as a Ponzi scheme. A lot of people are of this opinion, but that opinion wasn't really there before about a week ago or so. People are starting to have that opinion now. And if you're wondering, by the way, how any one of these big institutions could claim that they're not actually trading something while they are, because one of my comments was saying BlackRock and Citadel have claimed that they have nothing to do with the UST situation. They didn't trade it, period. The reason I'm saying that you shouldn't necessarily listen to that is because if I, for example, were to have a lot of subsidiaries, right, as an example, or I have control partially from another company, you can actually play around with that a little bit. And here, for example, is an example as to how that could play out, right? It's not the exact same thing, it's just an example. So where does this crypto fortune come from? We're talking about FTX and Luna situation. One way is via Robinhood Markets Inc., the popular brokerage app. Jump pays Robinhood, and in return, Robinhood sends its clients crypto trades to Jump, which executes them. It's just to kind of show you guys there's a lot of loopholes for a lot of different things, which if you would want to do them in the crypto space or any money space for that example. Let's not dive too deep into the whole FTX USDT situation. All I want to show you guys is that there's a lot of theories which you can put behind here, but Luna was, I don't want to say destined to fail from the start. There were a lot of players who'd like to see it fail. And so when there was the chance to basically help them out and bail them out, Binance was partially by their side. But for the rest, the majority of these parties were happy that Luna was going down to the ground. And that's what we're seeing in the crypto Twitter and everything like that as well. It's only CZ that's basically saying, hey, be cautious, but we're trying to help you out. The majority of other parties that would have normally been really helpful towards any crypto project that's having such a hard time, they would have said, hey, let's pick this up, let's do this. No, we've mostly seen resistance. We've mostly seen more FUD, and we've mostly seen these comments like it was destined to fail, it was bad, it was a stupid idea, yada, yada, yada. When, again, the way I see it is, if they really thought so, they should have put this out on a little poster up front saying, hey, please, either they're not going to list Luna because it's a scam or anything along those sorts. And I sometimes think back about the XRP situation as well, where a lot of exchanges listed XRP knowing full well that it was most likely not a security. They were thinking about it like, oh, this is fine. SEC sues them, and all of a sudden the exchange is like, we knew it was security from the start. Looking at you, Coinbase. Oh, it was a security. Sure, we're gonna take it off. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, guys. It really, really doesn't. Then again, what can you get from this video? Not much. Luna is dying out. Why? People are basically taking out their UST, transferring it to Luna, dumping their Luna. A lot of people are gambling on the Luna price right now, which you might again think as a good thing. I think Wall Street Bets is trying to get in touch with it as well. Some Reddit post was going on about whether or not they should pump the price like crazy. Right now, it's just become a little bit of a meme token. The price is 0.000003 or something like that. It maybe even add another zero to the Luna price or so. So it's definitely dead as of this point. It doesn't have to be, though. I still think there's an actual chance for UST to get bailed out if they do acquire enough capital and they fully collateralize it. The value of UST can come back to $1. It surely can. Then again, Luna, though, is going to be hard for that one to recover, but it's not impossible. It really isn't. Specifically because Binance is not giving up, and they're saying right here, hey, we've been discussing a couple of options, and I honestly believe Binance most likely has the answer to whatever they need, because it's freaking Binance, they're so big, they're almost too big to fail, I guess. Then again, if you have anything to add to the story, just put it down below. All right, I have so much more to cover. I swear I can go on about this story for about an hour and a half, which is why it might have been better to actually stream it. I can talk about this for so long. There are so many connections everywhere. A lot of it just doesn't make sense, though. It really, really doesn't. It keeps me scratching my head every single time. But I wonder what you guys are thinking about the situation. So I'm going to leave it at this for right now. Put your comments down below, and I'll read every single one of them and kind of think about it. Later on, I'll most likely make a little update on everything that I've learned in the last couple of hours or so. As it's crazy how something can flash crash this significantly, this heavy of a black swan event. I don't want to say it's unprecedented, but it's really interesting the way in which it has happened. It is really interesting to watch. So yeah, I'll keep you guys in the loop on everything that I find. Most likely I'll come back later today with another update or so, and maybe even 2, maybe even 3, who knows. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Our giveaway ends in a couple days. I think tomorrow actually the giveaway ends, so make sure you join that with the link down below, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.